Hello everybody, John here, and hopefully we've just gone live. Hopefully you guys can see me, and if you can, and if you can hear me okay. Oh good, thank you very much, Gerard. Just seeing that a few people have turned up and turned on. So yeah, if you're coming through loud and clear, just give us a quick hello. That's another one from Graham Walker, thank you very much. I've got my laptop propped up on a box on my desk because I've had to rush in and prepare this very quickly. To say it's been an eventful day is rather an understatement. So excuse the slightly lackluster start. I never know how to pronounce your name, Michael. I'm going to go for Sraga. Is there a phonetic version? Let me know. I'm Michael anyway. I know who you are. I just can't pronounce you. Yeah. SB in English we don't normally use an S and a B, so I'm guessing Sraga. Hi Skyfall. Always worried. So quite a few people starting to join in now. All good. Dean Beresford. Hi there. So I'm just making sure my laptop doesn't fall off of its little podium, and hopefully we should be able to kick off any second. Right, pronounce the B like a P. In that case, I'm going for Michael Spraga. Finally know how to pronounce it. Thank you very much, Michael. Hi, Steve Slight. Right, okay then, guys. So I said there'd be a live broadcast because in my head that was going to make things simple and easy for me. But I say today's been a little bit eventful, not all in a good way either. But that's for another time. So what we're going to talk about. First thing is the photo competition. So last year we ran a 2020 photo competition, which then turned into our 2021 calendar. And that went round really well with you guys as the subscribers. Lots of people got involved. We had loads and loads of entries, some fabulous photos, as is referenced here on my wall. So we actually have the winning photograph there. And I did say at the time I'd need a little bit of time to get over doing that photo competition. And that's because I had to spend so much time getting rid of multiple votes from the same person, or persons I should say, that sort of clouded the voting at the end. Anyway, I'm over it now. It's all good. And so we're going to have another photo competition. So our 2021 photo competition for our 2022 calendar. So let's just have a quick look at what's going on there. I'm aware of the fact I've got some reflections on my whiteboard. I'm hoping it's not in mirror image because it is on my camera. Excuse the very rocky setup. So if you would like to enter the photo competition for X100 photographs, then you need to send in your entry, your photographs, by the 30th of June. So you've got 2 and a bit months to take that photo, find that photo, send that photo. All good. What's going to happen then is I'm going to use myself and my family to select the top, I'm going to say 20, 24, just because that's twice as many pages in the calendar, something like that, just to thin the field a little bit. And then we will put out a video for you guys to watch and allow you to vote on what you think is the best photos entered this time around. And you're going to get to vote between the 1st of August and the 31st of August. That's going to allow me to put out the results. Here are the winners early in September. I'm not going to pin that down just because I know how things get hectic. That will give me more than enough time to then assemble the winning photos into a calendar. So all good. So that all said, there has to be some form of rules for our photo competition. So they are as simple and as few as I could conjure. And you may not be able to see this, that's okay, it's more for me than it is for you. The photograph must be an XK8 or XKR X100 model. So I'm eliminating XKs, the aluminium body cars, from the competition, not because I don't like them or anything else. Obviously, I'm a huge favourite. I'm very biased towards the XK8 and XKR with a steel body, but there's no way I can cope with judging different styles as well. So it's just X100s. The photograph must be landscape. Now, last year we had some fantastic photographs that were sent in portrait format. And whilst I've got nothing against portrait, the end result was always going to end up in a calendar format. And the A4 images necessitated either putting some black bands on the sides or cropping it massively. And it just felt like I was tampering with some people's photos, even though they were winners. So it has to be in landscape format. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with the expression, landscape format means like that, as if you're painting the landscape. Portrait format is like that, and we don't want that. So turn your phone sideways if you're on a phone, and landscape only. Just a note rather than a rule, the image will be cropped to an A4 format. So UK standard A4 sheet of paper size, because that's the printing format for the calendars. So if you do a widescreen photograph, that's absolutely fine, send it in, but just be aware it may not end up looking exactly as you anticipate because it will be cropped. And it must be a single image. And that's not me not wanting to see lots and lots of photographs. It's all about, it's too difficult to judge which is the best of your photos, and then how does that compare with other people's. It's just got to be your one shot. If you email me more than one, I'm just going to disregard the subsequent shots. It's the first one is the one that I'm going to take. Photographs should be emailed to the normal email address, which is john@tothegarage, all one word, no spaces, .co.uk. And obviously I'm going to put links to all this in the description below this video, which I'll edit later. So if you watch this in a couple of days' time, it'll be written down there for you as well. The subject of your email to me should be photo competition, and I'll have an auto sort on my inbox, so if it doesn't say photo competition, it may not find its way into the inbox for the photo competition. And as well as sending me your photo, I'd like a tiny bit of information, please, to add a bit of colour and interest to the image. And that would be a bit about the car, a bit about you, a bit about the picture. And all I want is, can you give me the year of the car, the colour of the car, and if the car has a name, then let's have that name. About you, what is your name, obviously, and your location, by which I don't mean give us your postal address. If it's Albert from Switzerland, that would be fine. Mine would be John from Lincolnshire in the UK. And a little bit about the picture would be, where was it taken? In front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris would be an example. And if you want to tell me a little bit about why that picture is important, that's fabulous. Tell me all as much as you like, but as a bare minimum, year of the car, colour of the car, name of the car, who are you and where you're from, and where did you take the photo. That is all we're going to put in for rules and regulations for the photo competition. I think it's a case of less is more. Let's hope so anyway. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you start to send in. I made myself a little note here, book ? Started getting a lot of questions and input and interest and help and advice on the idea that I put forward, but there's also going to be a book. I'm going to make a book to present some images, some stories, some text-based stuff, which I said towards the end of the year as well, we might put on our website as a purchasable thing, so that we've got a coffee table book all about our XK8s, XKRs. I have started to compile that, but what I'm not going to do is put myself a deadline for it. So if I get it done for Christmas, that'd be fantastic. But if it's into the new year, it's into the new year. That one is for my sanity more than anything. And although it is going to be hugely biased towards Jaguar XK8, Jaguar XKR, as always, that book is going to include images of all sorts of cars. Obviously, I have a fleet. It's going to include images of those. It's no doubt going to have some images that you guys have sent in, not necessarily of X100s as well, more about, garage fun projects, other things, bits and pieces, other Jaguars. So that's coming together, and I will be sharing a little bit more on that with you going forward quite soon. So now I'm just going to have a quick look back at some of the bits and pieces coming in on my text stream down the side of the screen. Hi, 2 Jags, Florida, USA, Martin Dyson, Randy Ranson, just bought an XK8, needs a cluster instrument setup, or I may be wrong and it requires something else. Ooh, sounds interesting, Randy. I take it you got some sort of issues, instruments not doing what they should do, or is it miles per hour should be kilometers, something like that? Let us know what's going on there. Car Crush UK, great YouTube site, by the way, Car Crush UK. If you're not seeing that, go check it out. Some really good XK8 stuff on there. Evening, everybody, he says. Gerard Booth, hey guys, take a look at James Rupert's piece in Autocar Online this week on XK8 and XKRs. I read that in the 10 minutes before I came on here and did have a quick look. Thank you very much, Gerard, whilst I was pouring myself a beer. Let's put that away. Gerard, he's acknowledging what we all know. X100 is the coupe bargain of the decade, and you're a mug to buy anything else. I don't think he actually typed that, but yeah, he meant it. What we need, John, is a meet to include images from your book. Yes, a meetup is still really high on my list of want-to-dos, and I'm still really resistant to actually saying this is what we're going to do and this is where we're going to go and this is when we're going to do it, because until we've proven that we've avoided in the UK another peak, I don't want to let anybody down. People make plans, so I'm holding on to that one for just a little longer, but various plans are in place in my head and various options for locations. So we could meet up somewhere where something else is going on, which I think would be really useful. For instance, as random as it sounds, there are some great auto jumbles in my county, and quite large events as well. So if the weather's great, they have park up areas for classic cars, and we could gather at one of those, share notes, look at cars, and then go buy all the bits that fell off on the way there. It'd be brilliant. There are a couple of museums which we could meet at that have space for a bit of a gathering, and I'd probably be really pleased to have some extra folk come along. Not necessarily Jaguar places, I've got to say. And there are maybe a couple of people who are in our community, let's say, in our subscriber community, who have businesses that might be of interest to us, where it might be worth just gathering at their locale and seeing what it's all about. But more of that another day. Right, okie dokie. Car Crush UK. I like Gerard's idea, John. Yes, thank you very much. Well, we will do all that. We do need to. I need to contact some of you specifically for some input from the books, and I will be doing so. Thanks for the shout out. Randy Ranson, set your meetup with Jaguar. A couple of people have said, why aren't I getting Jaguar involved in a potential meetup? I've got to say, my first reaction is, we're not big enough or important enough. And there may be 3 of us. I know I'm wrong, but maybe baby steps. Hopefully this is the first of many once we finally do the do. And I do have some contacts with Jaguar for work reasons as well. So possibilities. General Booth, ditto. Tony Fisher, will XJs also be welcome to the XK8 meet? Hell yes, is the simple answer to that. Not since getting in touch, they can only say no. Yes, well, you're all pushing me towards that, Gerald. Yes, on the XJ front, one thing I'd like to repeat back is I obviously have a massive bias towards XK8s, X100s, as do most people who view the channel. But I have never at any point said this is a Jaguar channel or an XK8 channel. It is called To The Garage because it's about sharing what I'm up to in the garage, which tends to be Jaguar and will always tend to be Jaguar. And it will always tend to be X100 because it's the best car in the world. End of. But yeah, XJs are fabulous and are welcome. I don't care what you drive if it's interesting, if I'm absolutely honest. Anybody who's tinkering with a car, a van, a motorbike, I'm your friend. And if you're interested enough to come along, I think that'd be fabulous. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that little stream to one side, and another piece of paper I prepared earlier. I get an awful lot of questions. Quite a lot of them are sort of technical specifics. My car is broken in this special way. Can you help? Can you fix it, etc. And I do my very best to advise, help, or point people in the right direction. But proud to say, way too many emails, way too many comments to hit anything other than thank you very much on each one. So not all of them get answered. Also, I am not a professional Jaguar technician. I'm just an enthusiast like many of you guys who spent too much time staring at their beast. So what I'm starting to do is just gather together some of the regular questions and use opportunities like these to answer them or share them with you guys. So in no particular order, one of the questions that I've been asked a lot is, why convertible, John? Because I've had 2 XK8 convertibles, and why not coupe? I've got nothing against coupes, is a simple answer. I love the convertible more than the coupe. I think the coupe arguably is prettier. I mean, that's a huge statement for me. You know, the sweeping lines over the tail, the shape of the tailgate glass, it all exaggerates the rear haunches as well. So I would actually possibly say that the right coupe in the right color is the prettier car. God damn it. But the convertible has one of the best hoods of any car ever made. Soft top hoods. So it's worth having for that. I'm British. The UK buys more convertible cars per capita than any other nation in the world. And it's not because we have the weather. It's something to do with our optimism, need to be ready. You know, one of our favorite expressions, there is no bad weather, just bad clothes. So convertible car with a fantastic top, it's like a barber coat. I just like the opportunity to drop the hood when I can and get out there. There is also a little bit of condition theory. Now, this is just philosophy, so read into it what you want. I think it is actually easier to get a really good convertible than it is to get a really good coupe. My reasoning behind that is the convertibles were more expensive new. If you'd spent £70,000 back in 1998 on a toy car with a convertible hood, you probably looked after it very well, as you did with your coupe, but you were even more likely to keep it in a garage or under a carport and lavish love upon it. That extra bit of value, the fact that it is less, in many people's eyes, of a practical car, means more of them were toys. They tend to have been looked after just that fraction better. Pure philosophy, can't prove it. And the last one is, I love the sound of my car. I love the sound of my car even more with my new Adamesh Stage 1 and 2 system, but it's better in a convertible and always will be, because I've got a button that loudens the exhaust by dropping the top. I love a convertible. All right, just going to look back at your comments. I had an XJ8, great car, and sorry I sold it, says Graham Walker. Yeah, XJs are fabulous. And the 308, which I think is the one that you're referring to there, Graham, is essentially the same car as we've got. You know, it's a sister car. All the technologies, the styling cues, a lot of the build parts are very, very similar. Love them, love them, love them. My X358, which is the aluminium XJ, although I adore it, is an entirely different car. It shares no relationship with our XK8s and very little with the 308. It is an entirely new car. Gerard Bouve, love mine. Weirdly enough, it's an X308 Sport with cats, but doesn't and never has had an anti-roll bar at the rear. Rides beautifully, but rolls like a whale. Looking at fitting one in the future. Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Would that have been standard fit for that model to have eliminated that on that year, do you think, Gerard? Or missed out or removed by a previous owner? Kevin Still. Also, if the top gut comes off, the price goes up. This is true. I've not really researched the prices recently. Maybe I should have a dig around. But it certainly used to be true when I was making my swap and bought Purdy that you would pay about £2,000 to £2,500 extra for a good convertible than you would over a good coupe. And that slowly crept up from, £1,000 when I first got PJ was the difference to two and a half. So the differential is increasing, but also the price of XK8s, regardless, and XKRs of coupe and convertible is definitely on the ascendance now. And Stephen's like, haha, your face when you said that about the coupe. I know, it hurt. Gareth Davis, hi John, I'm very late to the party. Hell yeah, you are. Where have you been? Get your nose out from under that TVR. So, Gerard, I don't know. Forums are unclear. It's never had one, as although the lower wishbones have the necessary lugs, but the plate behind the diff is different and has no mounting points. Maybe you've got some pre-production parts on your car. Interesting. Okie dokie. Let's hit another one off this little list quite quickly. The number of people who say, what's your actual job? I wish I had a really quick explanation. The quickest, shortest version I can give you is I am a management and production consultant. I work for myself and my own business. I work primarily with automotive clients, i.e. car manufacturers or original equipment parts manufacturers. But will help anybody who's interested. At the moment, I'm doing lots of things with trains. I spent a good stint along with our friend on the late to the party, Gareth, looking after clients who were very into aerospace, etc., etc. And my expertise is basically in subjects like lean, productionizing things, quality systems, management, behavior, leadership, psychology, all that sort of good stuff. So I train people, I teach people, I advise people to make their businesses quicker, slicker, healthier, safer, etc., etc. My heritage is in automotive, so I've worked in, I think, every large car manufacturer based in the UK. I only work within the UK. That's part of my thing. So Nissan, Honda, Toyota, all those, I've worked with them, for them, assisted them, including Jaguar, Vauxhall, Fords, BMW, which is got quite a presence in the UK these days. So all sorts of stuff on production lines for all sorts of parts and vehicles. And that's about as short as I can make that, because what do I do? What do you need? I can probably do that. Or I've got a friend who can do that, and we'll call him. And he's probably called Gareth, actually. Jared, don't know the forums. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we moved on from that. That's just repeated itself. 2002. Another one. Right. Here's an interesting one. I can't help this gentleman because I can't see the car. So Dennis Martin, who's in the USA, he's got a 2005 XK8. And very interestingly, he has trouble turning it off. We'd all love to say, don't we all? But so he turns off the ignition key, and very often the car continues to run. And if he just leaves it alone, that can be for up to 25 minutes. He's timed it. Now, my instant reaction is that this sounds like it's got to be just the ignition switch behind the key barrel, and it's sticky, or something's gone very, very screwy there. Or there's a relay that's sticking in the closed position, and although it's de-energized, it's still closed, and that would have to be maybe two. You know, there's an ignition relay, there's a fuel pump relay, something very screwy going on there. So we've had a few chats, myself and Dennis, online, and he's going to have to basically dig around and see if he can change the ignition barrel. I've never changed the barrel. I've never changed the ignition switch. And he quite rightly says, if he changes the ignition switch, will that affect whether his keys still work? Where's the sensor that picks up the chip? I can't answer those questions. I do not know. So if anybody's got some good intel on that, can you just separate out the switch from the barrel and the reader? Then we could do with knowing. Dennis Martin. I've had lots of questions very recently saying, come on, John, I'm desperate to see your video on dead seat removal. How do you remove the seat from an XK8 or X308 or XKR for that matter, if the motors don't work because they're covered, the bolts up, you can't undo them? I've been genuinely distracted by some personal issues at the moment, guys. So we will get to it. I can't say it's going to be this week. It's probably not even going to be next week before I start up the videos in earnest again. But the seat is still out of my car. The second seat is I've left in the car so that I can basically simulate removing a dead seat for you. So it is coming, but there's an awful lot of people asking about that. David Bramley just wanted to say thanks for the great content. I recently picked up a bargain XK8 and your videos are extremely useful and informative. Cheers. Well, thank you very much, Daniel. Randy Ranson, heater doesn't work. What may be the problem? The cold still comes on even when the red arrow is at high. Could be a blocked heat matrix. That's pretty much what is happening. I would imagine it's the heater matrix is blocked. Could be an airlock. But I've got to say that the XK8s don't really suffer too badly from airlocks. Could try putting it on a set of ramps, nose up in the air, open the header tank, cold engine, top it up from there, start the engine, let it circulate for a little bit. If the level suddenly drops, it's an airlock. Put some more water in, it'll probably work again. But chances are that it's a blocked heater matrix, so you may need to get it flushed, and that's probably take it somewhere that does that sort of thing, and they've got pressure systems, they can flush your system out, or at least point you out which radiator is blocked. And Graham Walker, I had a Lancia Gamma that would keep running if you held the central locking button. A short that I never found. Wow. Lancia Gamma. I genuinely can't remember the last time I saw a Gamma or a Lancia of that era. Sort of 70s, 80s Lancias did not do well in a British climate. But wow, that's a pretty unique issue. Gerard, got to put personal issues first, John. I'm sure you'll agree with that. Thank you very much. May fill you in on another day. Graham Walker, supplementary heater pump has failed. I had that happen. Ooh. Well, I'm sure, Graham, that we'd be interested to share any part numbers or advice where to go so that Randy can have a little look at that. That's really good advice. Separate supplementary heater pump. We do have split system on the XK8's XKR, so there's a heater system for the cold start, which pumps water around small bore pipes, and then when it gets running warm, you've got large bore system, and then if you've got an XJ like mine, and I guess in some territories XK8s, they have like a Webasto heater as well. So all sorts of possibilities there. Good call. Gail Armstrong, has anyone ever had a rear main seal blowout? Happened to my 1999 XK8. Just concerned, but I don't have a root cause. No. Sorry, not. I don't think I'm aware of anybody saying that that's happened to them. Obviously, it can happen, but I wouldn't say it's a regularly occurring fault on our cars. Gerard Booth, that's because they're all piles of rust. I'm taking, we're going back to the Lancia there. I mean, some really interesting cars now, but yeah, we didn't get Lancias in the UK for, somebody correct me, it must be 20 years. They just didn't sell them because their reputation was so badly scarred by the Gamma, the Thema, not the Delta. What's the one that had a sort of a state form? Monte Carlo. They all just dissolved on contact with the UK. It was really, really awkward. But they were fabulous cars. So if you have ever managed to get hold of one that's been looked after, it's a rare treat. Really, really nice. Okay, so we've been tottering along for just over half an hour now. Wow. So I will integrally. Thank you, Tony Fisher. I once went for a ride in a Lancia HF Integrale, driven by a friend through some woods, and who scared me witless. Combination of four-wheel drive, light, powerful, and questionable build quality meant the whole car felt like it had scuttle shake. You know, you grab hold of the dashboard for grim death, except the dashboard was moving so quickly. Wow, that was a quick thing. Gerard, anybody ever fitted J pipes to their exhaust to cue a drone? My Paramount system really booms at 2,200 RPM at 300 hertz. Reckon I need two pipes of 280 millimeters. That is interesting. J pipe, so return pipes, got some extra length in there. No, I've not done that. Interesting. See what everybody else comes up with. Graham Walker, the Beta Series 1 was, I think it was the Beta I was thinking of, sort of from the front a little bit like an Escort droop snoot, and the back sort of scimitar. Not sure. Helmholtz resonators. So you must do the J pipes. I'll have a look at those. Thank you very much. Why so many non-XK8 videos? That's a regular feature. Again, I answered it earlier. I'm not an XK8 channel. I'm not a Jaguar channel. I just happen to do more Jaguar XK8 stuff than anything else. And as I say, I'm just distracted by other bits and pieces going on. And there are going to be lots of XK8 videos going forward. I'm going to ride video probably Saturday. Yep. Okay. I'll leave those items for now, I think. The only other one that comes up very regularly, only probably second to why have you got an XK8 and not an XKR, because they're better, which I've answered a few times, so I'm not going to go into it here. I do get regularly asked, yeah, but why didn't you go for an E-Type? Because surely that's what you really wanted and you've had second best. So the question, would I want an E-Type? Yes, for the investment. Somebody gave me an E-Type, or I could buy an E-Type really cheap, let's say. I would want it because it's a fabulous investment and got to be a lot nice to look at. Would I want an E-Type? No. If I'm absolutely honest, I'm not going out searching for one. There had certainly been moments in my life when I could afford one. Today is not that day. But I like driving my cars, and the XK8 is, I don't think it's subjective to say it is a much better drive. It's a nicer vehicle to use. It's a more practical vehicle to use. Yes, the E-Type may be able to claim to be the most beautiful car in the world. I think as the years go by, we're all going to recognize more and more and more that the Mark 1 XK8, X100, XKR really is unparalleled. I think it's that good. And it also goes as far as to say that only the Mark 1 and 2 of the E-Type, I think, is really beautiful. I think the Mark 3 starts to lose it. Fabulous car, you know, again, somebody wants to give me one or the opportunity on the right price, it will be in the garage. It'll be interesting. But it's not the most beautiful car in the world at that stage. Plus the XK8 I can tinker with, I can play around with. It's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to do everything. And, you know, we worry about rust on ours. E-Type's a different league, a different sort of expense to get things made for those sorts of things. So no, I don't want one. There you go. That's put the cat among the pigeons. CS right turn light on cluster went. Right turn light on cluster went. I'm just looking back to see if I've missed a message. No, sorry, don't understand that one. And Randy, when I was taking curves on the highway, the feeling was fantastic. The car seemed to dance. It was great. Absolutely. They are beautiful, beautiful things. Kevin Still, John, what colour polybushes would you recommend for the front suspension of the XK8? Barrett's recommend black comfort ones on their parts list. Ooh, this is interesting. You see, I'm genuinely thinking of polybushing Purdy. And I'm not, I was about to say I don't track day my cars. I do, but you know, I don't go and rag my car to the edge of the limits of its abilities. But if you put in black polybushes, they are much easier to fit than the standard rubber bushes, so good. But I'm not convinced they're going to give you huge extra longevity because they're relatively soft. The Ones I've been looking at myself, I think are called Powerflex, which I think are purple. But I've looked at that many, I'm starting to lose the plot. I think that our cars can stand a little bit more stiffer bushing because the suspension is so good, where you're still going to get a really good ride quality. One of our subscribers did a complete polybush change to purples, and barely felt the difference in terms of ride comfort, but handling, the sort of sharpness of the turning, so it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm still doing my own research on that, so I'm probably not in a position to advise do this one, Kevin. But yeah, if you want to replace them with easier to replace bushes, go black. Carlos T, early 97 XK8 front dashboard speaker connections exist. Purchased OEM speaker and connected, but no sound. Does the speaker connection not guarantee it's live or active? Correct. Somebody else will probably chime in on this because hi-fi and sound systems are some people's specialism, not mine. But the wiring is there underneath the little grills on the ends of the dashboard. Oh, where's my hands? On the ends of the dashboard on XK8s, regardless of whether they've got the speakers there or not. But unless you've got the premium, that's the word, premium sound system, the amplifier in the boot doesn't have anything to connect it to, or the head unit doesn't have anything to connect it to, because maybe there's not an amp on your system. There's no amp on mine. So yeah, you've got the wires, but nothing connected to the other end. Mr. Lexus, new subscriber here. Could you advise if Jag X350 or X351 are reliable? I would love one as a daily drive, but do worry. Had negative experiences in the past. Thank you. Well, I'll invite everybody to chime in who's had one or got one. I've got an X358 at the moment, which is an X350, the first aluminium car, but with boxy bumpers. It's the last 18 months of production. And I had about 3 years ago a nearly, I'm going to say 3-year-old when I bought it, X351, which is the last body shape of XJ. Both of them have proved very reliable in my experience. The 358 I bought it incredibly cheap, and it had a lot of issues which were to do with neglect. They weren't reliability issues, things that had been knocked around and needed replacing. In terms of reliability, I've now done, I think, 11,000 miles in that, and it's not given any reliability issues whatsoever. It has a vibration, which I'm pretty sure is the engine mounts, but just haven't had the time to go look at it. My X351, the only thing that went wrong on that was, oh, come on, John, what was it? Glow plug. Yeah, glow plug failed, which didn't actually stop anything happening, just made it a bit tricky to start. Well, not tricky, it just took a few more turns to start, and then it bump, 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 and away it went. Other than that, brilliant. And in both cars, the electrics, which everybody's scared witless of on Jags, were absolutely fantastic. My current X358 had blown up an amplifier, but again, I'm putting that down to the previous owner because it's also blown up the speakers as well. So read that into that what you want. I would say they're really sound, really strong cars. Graham Walker, I fitted Powerflex purple all round. No difference in ride, but sharper handling. Now that's what we need to hear, because that's what I want. Yeah, so yeah, you could go black, which is softer, but do you need to? Basically, the harder they are up until a point, the longer they'll last. and you get those little handling tweaks. But our cars really don't need all of the compliance vertically to improve their ride quality. The ride quality is excellent anyway. The only thing I wouldn't mess with is the engine mounts. So engine mounts need to be the right ones. That's where some harshness can start to come through. Tony Fisher, service history and maintenance is key. I have a 4.2 X350 as a daily driver. That's what I wanted to do. But mileage, you know, I've done 10,000 miles in the time I've had the car. You guys know I haven't had it long. Diesel was the way to go for me. Car Crush UK, I'm just about to fit Comfort Black from Polybush. They are said to be similar to OEM. Yes, I agree. It's going to be very similar consistency, pliability to the standard. So basically, it's an easier to fit version of the bushes that you've already got in at the moment. Mr. Lexus, what X351 did you have? 3 litre diesel? Yes. I had a 3 litre D, caviar in colour, portfolio, very nice. And the tweak that I had done to that was I took it to Mr. Muggleston, that's Muggleston and Sons, which is my favoured independent Jag specialist, and had it remapped to put the S map on it. So mine, I can't remember what the horsepowers are now, but it adds on another 20 horsepower, let's say, something like that. But it dramatically changes the torque. And if you've ever driven a 3 litre D in standard form, you'll know that's prodigious. Yeah, fabulous cars. 3 litre D, that's the one to go for. If you can run to the V8 version, then well done, because is there anything finer? But if you're going to use it all day, every day for big long trips, then the diesel is very quick. And I would argue, actually, down the lanes, potentially the quicker car, because the torque is massive and instantaneous. And diesel's one of them odd things. It's not the same as petrol. I'm very familiar with Volkswagen's conundrums when they brought out the GTD Golf. When the GTI was the thing, the GTD was better, faster. It was much better acceleration, sort of 60 to 70 up the range. The torque meant it felt faster at all gears. So they did some real jiggery pokery with sort of taming the GTD and then pushing the GTI right to the limits to try and maintain that flagship status of the petrol engine car when the diesel was actually eminently superior. So 3 litre D, fabulous. Matt Adams, hi all, late arrival. Very late, Matt. Very disappointed. So disappointed, it's driven me to drink. One moment. Mr. Lexus, ooh, that's a good idea. Could I ask why you rid? I have this problem as well. Typing's terrible. Why you rid of the 351? Could get the 5 litre, but as a daily, I don't think it's a wise choice. Ha ha ha. You could convince yourself of that. The sort of thing I could do. Would have to be a 3 litre petrol, as travelling to clean air zones a lot. Oh, well. There is nothing wrong with 3 litre petrol. All the people that I've spoken to about it say that it's a really fine engine, and it is the creamiest of the lot, nice and spinny and revvy, but of course doesn't have the grunt of the V8, and it doesn't have the common sense of the diesel. I looked very hard at a 3 litre petrol that was for sale down the road, and much it was the right price and condition was fabulous and all the rest of it, I just couldn't get my head around it. It was like, I'm not getting the V8 and I'm not getting sensible with the diesel fuel consumption, because I average 42 to the gallon, which is immense for a massive car. Why did I get rid of the 351? It was quite new. It was quite expensive when I got it, and it was losing value because it was still quite new, and I was adding to that with the massive miles, and it just seemed like the sensible thing to do to move it on. And I went from a 351 in caviar portfolio spec, ruched leather, double glazing, everything, to a pickup truck. Yeah, typical person who works for himself, always looking for the tax efficient approach. So I didn't get rid of it because of issues. I got rid of it because of finances. Simple as that. Yeah. So if you work around the emission zones, I would go for the diesel. But yeah, I see that it's got to be the 3-litre V6 petrol for you. Well done. Right, I'm going to have to draw a line under this, guys, because we've rambled on for 50 minutes. How's that happen? There was 10 minutes at the front end of what I said we'd do. This is also another test of the viability of live streaming. I do now have really effective Wi-Fi around the house. It's borderline acceptable now to do it from the garage as well. So we can do a few more of these things, and that'll allow me to do a few things like quizzes, which I know is a question that I get regularly. When are we going to have another quiz? Soon. So just to recap very, very quickly, photo competition, you've got to get your entries in by the 30th of June. The photos must be of an XK8 or R or 100. It must be yours. They've got to be landscape, not portrait. They're going to end up cropped to A4. So if you do something widescreen, that's absolutely fine. But just remember, it's going to be cropped. Only send a single image, because I'll ignore everything that comes after the first image you send in. Send them to john@tothegarage.co.uk under the subject photo competition. In your email, tell me a little bit about your car, you and the picture. Year, colour and name, your name and location, and where was the picture taken, and anything else you want to tell me is fantastic. That concludes today's live broadcast. I think I'm going to take a punt at doing one of these a fortnight, something like that. Now, it is the technical part works. My problem is giving you guys notice and saying it's on a particular day at a particular time. There's lots of things that are going to trip me up there, so I'm not going to do that for now, but I think it'll evolve, and it might be, but it's a Saturday evening type thing going forward. But you just have to stick with me for a little while. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. If you've got questions and you want to carry on in the comments below this video, which will probably appear as a video after a few hours, I'm not sure. You may have to click the live tab on the screen. I'm not really familiar with the live videos myself. Then I'll carry on chatting for a little while, and we will see you all very, very soon. Bye.